What's the most important thing that we couldn't live without? You might think of air, water, or food, the essentials. For most of us, that's covered. Maybe you're thinking, I can't live without my spouse, my work, my home. I've heard people say they can't live without their motorbike, fishing, or coffee. There's just so many things that make up this great experience that we call life. For each of us, it looks different, but there's one thing that ties all of this together, and that is our income. We all need income to live our lives, to access the essentials like food and water, to look after each other, and to also enjoy hobbies and pursue adventures. Whatever stage of life we find ourselves in, there's one thing that we all need, and that is income throughout our life. And how we think about our income, it matters. It affects our choices. It affects our future. So today we're going to talk about how to create a mindset around our income that sets us up to prosper. You're listening to Mind Over Money. G'day, Archie.
G'day, Lachlan. Love the striped shirt, mate.
Of course, this is a podcast, so people can see what I'm wearing. Thanks, mate. I love your shirt too. Looks great. Maybe we should upload a picture into the show notes of our shirts.
Yeah, we could do that.
All right. I've got a screenshot there. I'm just trying to get a good one where we're not blurred. All right, cool.
Cool. So what we're talking about today is our mindset around how we perceive our income. And, because our income does have a really big effect on how we operate. So if we perceive that our income just comes from work, then quite often we can easily get caught into the mindset and the perception that we're just living week to week and we just operate week to week. So what comes in goes back out again. And, that often frustrates us when we have that sort of a mindset there. So, today we just want to get in and start looking at our income and how do we start changing that programming that we have around how we think about income. One of the big things for us here at Waymaker is, really helping people get that income working well, getting their cash flow working well, because from there's just so much to be achieved. And then so much more income to be had throughout our life, like millions of dollars of income can be added to our life. And that means, a lot more fun. And, we live in an amazing country that is so good to live in. And there's just so much available to us. So, we want to stop people from missing out, basically.
Yeah, I think there's so many Australians find themselves in that week-to-week frustration, right? Of money comes in, money comes out, and that's the way we think about our income every day. But there is so much more. And there's a lot of assumptions and mindsets that are actually holding us back around our income. So let's talk about different, ways and sources of income we have. So I guess we could start with our most basic form, which would be the government.
Yeah.
That's one source. So what do they call it now? Services Australia, I think it is. They've rebranded from Centrelink. You got the New Start, which I think it's like $250 a week or something, maybe a bit more if you have a family.
Yeah. Job Seeker, I think it's called Job Seeker now. They keep changing the name. Doesn't make a difference to what it is, but it's very basic. It's like $250 a week, and then you might get some rent assistance as well. And we know that the basics, for say a couple, is at least $824 a week, and for a single person, it's $700 a week. So we can't rely on that, basic backup system that the government gives us. Yeah,
that's actually living below the poverty line. We'll put a link in the show notes to the Melbourne Institute. But they've got a table there of actually what the estimated poverty line is in Australia. So, if we're just relying on the government as that first source of income, while it may be necessary in a season, if we find ourselves in that place, it's definitely not where we want to stay because, healthcare is limited, food, shelter, everything's limited. Even our ability to drive and buy things is limited. So the government is one source, but it's not enough. So let's move on to the next source. Where else can we create income, Archie, and earn income?
The fastest way to have a good income source in Australia is to get a job. And it's possibly the most secure as well, because if we've got a regular job, then we've got a regular income. And that's a key part to having good finances is having that regular secure income, and that's what we're working on getting to today here. So apart from a job, then we got to look at other sources of income. So there's investments that can provide us with income as well. Now there's a lot of other things that people think about out there around income, but a lot of them aren't really good sources of income. And so after we've done a job for a while, we might get into running a business because we've got the experience and we know that we've got a great opportunity to go into business, so we can actually go into business. But again, with businesses, there's a very high failure rate when it comes to small businesses.
Yeah, about 60% fail in the first 3 years, according to the ABS.
Yeah. And look, the frustrating thing I find is that you've got all this stuff coming through the internet, through Google ads and Facebook ads and everything else, telling you that you can start this great online business and stuff. But quite often you're going into something you don't know. You don't know what that business actually is. You don't know how it's going to create an income for you. And I've seen people lose a lot of time and a lot of money mucking around with those things. So when I was saying before, you start a business because you've been working in a job, and then you realize, hang on, I can actually do this as a business. And so you might be a lawn mowing guy, and then you realize, hang on, I can actually do this myself. I can have my own lawn mowing business, and because you've been doing it, you know what's involved, you know how to build up the clientele, and away you go.
Yeah.
Or cybersecurity, or financial planning. There's the list goes on. Once you've got the experience, you can actually create that job. So I'm frustrated with those online things that come through, because I've seen people just lose a lot of time and a lot of money and not actually generate a secure income.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people start a business because they've been sold the idea that they can make all this money, but they haven't got the experience and the competence to follow through, and they don't actually know what they're doing. So that is a big reason why a lot of businesses fail, because people get into it for the wrong reason. Yeah. What are some other ways we can generate income?
Well, some of the ways that aren't a way is, we've had a lot of talk about stuff like Bitcoin and how these people have generated all this income from Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's it's not an income source. It's a currency. You trade it. It's definitely not an income source. It's really a gambling type situation. So these things that aren't income, and even if your family helps you out with stuff and that, again, it's not income. It's not stable. It's not secure, and it's not ongoing. So if we keep looking for those things, stable, secure, and ongoing, yes, it can be a business. Yep. Yes, it can be a job. Yes, it can be investments. If those investments are stable, secure, and create an ongoing income. So that'd be our three main things that we can really focus on there.
So not gambling.
No. No, look, as soon as you see that word trading, then you've stepped into gambling. Trading CFDs, trading shares.
I know someone who goes down and buys the lottery every week. That's actually quite a common one I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is people going, just waiting for that lottery win. That's going to get the income I need. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, winning the lottery is not a stable, secure income. So,
True.
It doesn't fit. And
actually, the stats show that most people blow it in about 3 years, and it's done. And then they find themselves in a worse position. So,
yep.
Okay, so out of all the income, the different ways we can get an income, definitely the fastest way, the most secure way is just to get a job. Now, coming to our mindset, what are the different mindsets that we have around income? I think we just hit on a few of them in the way that we can have a gambling mindset and be chasing opportunities that maybe we get ads for, or things that we see, or we go, we can make all this money from home or running a shop or something like that. So there are definitely, there can be that quick win mentality around getting income now. But what are some other mindsets that we have in the way that we're talking to ourselves about income?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is we're probably not talking income. So that's why we actually want to talk about it today, because we're talking about how I don't want to pay tax, or, the other things that we come across is, someday, when my boat comes in, I'm going to have all this money. And, again, we're not recognizing, which is what we we're just talking about with the lotto, we're not recognizing that we're not actually talking about income. We're talking about something else. And our perception is that, this other thing is going to fix my life. Whereas the key is income. What's going to fix our life? Income.
Mm.
You take away our income, you take away all our choices. And
so income now, reliable, secure, and repetitive income, ongoing income, is actually what we need to be talking about and focusing on.
Yeah. And in Australia, when it comes to, say, insurance, we'll insure the boat, we'll insure the car, we might insure the house. We're not real great on that one either. When we look at the stats. But the one thing we forget to insure is our income.
Yeah.
What we see is people get sick, injured, can't work, and they lose their income, and then they've got nothing to replace that. There's no insurance in place to replace that. So people are then back onto relying on the government support system, and that's not a great system, as we just talked about before. It's a good system, but it's not a great income, I should say. And so we're back to relying on, someone else trying to, provide us with an income there. Yet we've got control over all this. We can, control our income right throughout our life. And if we start talking about it, put a focus on it, man, we can have a great life, because there's so much that can come out of that. But we've got to start talking about it. We've got to start, picking up the programming around what our income should be like and how to achieve that income. So when we've got a stable, secure income coming in, that then opens up the opportunity for us to buy a house and pay it off. And, and the key here is, pay the house off quickly, because you can release 20 to 30 years of your income by paying off your house quickly.
Yeah.
And when I say release, while you've got that home loan owns part of your income. And so we want to get that income back again by getting rid of that home loan.
Yeah. For most people, it's a third, even half their income. Yeah. Can be going to that home.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a great way to release and generate more income, is get rid of the home loan and get rid of rent. So if you're renting, buy a home, get rid of the rent. The other thing, to do when you've got that stable, secure income coming in, is that we can start to generate investments, build investments, which will then start to generate and build more income for us. And so this is a confusing area where, again, more issues around mindsets come in of how we see investments and, what is an investment. So if we think about like an investment property, often, Australians are very keen on investment properties because they think it's secure. But the thing with an investment property is you're going to be borrowing money. And so you're actually taking away a fair bit of security because of those borrowings that you're doing. And so you are, putting a risk factor in place there when you're borrowing and investing in property. And the key thing I keep finding with property is relax, take it easy, and time and chance can put you in the right place at the right time to buy a good property. But if you really chase after it very quickly, it can turn into a real disaster, which is something we don't want. But the other way, to build a reliable, secure investment is to start putting money away every week or every fortnight or every month into an investment, into growth assets. And, just taking a small amount and putting it away, it'll generate a lot of income over your life. And it's way more secure than other options that are out there. Because remember, we want to create that secure, reliable income source. That's our key focus.
And it's amazing what you can do with such a small amount of income. Like, what would be an example, let's say a $50,000 income at 1.5% inflation over what a working life would be 40 years? What would that equate to in terms of how much income you generate from that work? And what could you do with that income to invest?
Yeah. So we like using 50,000 because you can double it, triple it, quadruple it, for different income levels. But if we just take 50,000 over a lifetime of work, you're going to earn about 2.7 million. So that's a lot of money to come in. And that's why we talk about how important it is to have that, good, stable, secure income coming in, because that is going to generate a lot of money for you. And if we just take 158,000 of that 2.7 million, we can then invest that on a yearly basis. So, if we're investing $4,000 a year, that's what it equates to. That can then go on to enable us to buy cars through that investment scheme. And, we can buy cars out of that, so we're not having to borrow more money. So that puts more income back in our pocket. And by the time we get to, finish our working life, we can have $1 million there with an 8% return. So we're not after a big return, just a good, stable return of 8%. And then that $1 million will produce another 3.3 million in income over the rest of our life. So, that's how we can actually generate some really good income sources right now. So, too many people think, if it's in the future that we're not interested. But if we can start doing it right now, something that's going to start paying for cars, something that's going to put us ahead in our income, that's really simple. And then we're not waiting for that investment property to pay off. We're not waiting for something else to pay off. We're actually actively working on something.
The business, the lottery.
Yeah. We'll win. Yeah.
People think there's no risk of the lottery because they're like, oh, well, you either win, you don't. I'm like, yeah, but every time you're putting money in, you don't get that money back.
No. Yeah. And look, our greatest challenge to investing, especially what we just talked about then, the greatest challenge we've got there is people see it as a loss. It's funny how our mind works and our programming works, is that we actually see it as a loss, that we're putting money into something we're never going to get back. And that's the hardest thing we've got to get over, is actually we're putting money into something that we are going to get back. It's going to buy our next car.
Yep.
And it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to buy, a car after that again, like every 7 to 10 years. And it's also, going to give me all this income throughout my life because I don't have a car loan anymore. So that's, that's money back in my pocket again. Yeah. It's getting past those challenges. Those are the things that will actually hold us back. So what we're trying to help understand here today is that we want to look at our income over our lifetime and what are those sources of income. So the job may not last our lifetime because we could be sick or injured and unable to keep working. And eventually we get to a point where we can't work. Either there's not a job for us or physically we just can't keep working. So we need some other sources of income along the way. And that's where our investments come in, because, whether it's an investment property or properties, or whether it's superannuation, because that's another investment that we have through Australia. A good thing about having a job is that your job pays superannuation. So you've got all this superannuation money building up that's going to provide an income for you as well. And then, as we talked about there before, having insurance over our income, so that if we do get sick or injured and can't work, then the insurance pays us an income for our life, so that everything can keep working and we can keep enjoying our life because we have a secure, stable income coming in for our whole life. And that's the goal of our government, and that's the goal of Waymaker, is that we have that good, stable, secure income coming through. That's what makes Australia great.
Oh, it's so good. What we can achieve in Australia, on top of our super, on top of, all the opportunities we have for work here and just the general stability of life that we have here. But I think that's great. Think about your income across your entire life. Think about what are the mindsets and assumptions we have around money that's holding us back from doing really simple things that could move us ahead. Think about how can we actually generate more income, but not generate more promise of an income, actually generate more reliable, secure income, because knowing we can use that income to pay down debt, to invest, to move ahead, leaps and bounds. But by doing it every single day, little by little, and letting that grow.
Yep.
And also, who can we talk to get help around our income? Because we do need each other to get that help to overcome these challenges, these mindsets that we have. Yeah, there's just so much available to us in Australia. It is really good. I hope this episode, just talking about income, this can start the conversation in your household as well. Just start talking about income. What can we do to generate more secure, reliable income? Do we need to take a job, another job, a different job? Do we need to put down this business and go back to a job? Can we start a business? Do we know what we're doing? And have we got people to help us with that? Can we start investing now? Can we not take on a next car loan and start investing? Can we pay off our home loan faster and potentially free up 5, 10 or 15 or 20 years of our income now not going to that home loan? Yeah, there is so much we can do when we focus on our income.
Yeah, love it. You've got me excited now, Lachlan, just hearing you summarize that. It's so exciting what we have available to us in Australia. It's so exciting, to live in this, great country that we have, and what what is already in place that we can take advantage of. We do have a government that protects us, protects the security of our income, protects the security of our homes. And that enables us to achieve so much throughout our life. So, it's good to have that mindset that, hey, we're in a great place and, we can expect great things. And sometimes we just need some help to get that happening and get our mindset and our programming into the right place.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to Mind Over Money and for sharing it with your friends. Hey, if you've been enjoying this show, please leave a 5-star rating or review. And we'll see you again next week for our final episode of the year and for season 1. Looking forward to it. We'll see you then.
Awesome. Thanks, Lachlan. Thanks, everyone.
This podcast is for education purposes only, and it doesn't consider your financial goals or personal situation. So if you'd like to speak to someone about your financial situation, head to our website, waymakerpodcast.com.au, and click Get Financial Help to get connected to one of our wealth partners.